This is Social Watch segment, and today we want to talk about Cyber Watch, actually, with regards to child nudity on social media or even having it on your phone. We can remember, or we can recollect some time ago where we had some celebrities going under backlash because they even went nude in the presence of their children, and their children also went nude, and the photos were going out there. Even the law chased after them. And today we have Efua Brown Ayison, right? Ayison, okay. And she is the head of Child Online Protection with the CSA.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Great.
Great. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, talking about this, so when we talk about child nudity on our phones or on social media, what exactly are we talking about? Can I have my phone and have my, bathing my baby? My baby is naked and then I take a picture of my baby, have it on my phone. Can the law come after me for that?
Okay, so there's the new Cybersecurity Act, which was passed in 2020. And now it criminalizes things that we had ordinarily done and wasn't a problem.
Okay.
So now keeping children nude or indecent pictures on one's phone is a problem. And I would like to refer you to the
Please go ahead.
relevant provision, because some people might be thinking it's just serious.
Even on my phone, keeping my own child's nude picture on my phone, my baby's.
Okay, so let me just read this, then we can discuss.
Yes.
So, Section 62, one of the Cybersecurity Act, I think if the picture can capture it, the photographer can capture it. It says, indecent image or photograph of a child. A person shall not, A, take or permit to be taken an indecent image or photograph of a child. B, produce or procure an indecent image or photograph of a child for the purpose of the publication of the indecent image or photograph through a computer system. So that means if you are taking it to post it on Facebook, that is, publication of that through a computer system. Then C, publish, stream, including live stream an indecent image or photograph of a child through a computer or an electronic device. Or D, that is where we are, the question that we are presently discussing. Possess an indecent image or photograph of a child in a computer system or on a computer or electronic record storage medium.
Wow.
Possess. So just holding it on your phone, on your computer, on any electronic device.
So the act again is?
Cybersecurity Act 2020.
Okay. Act 2020.
Act 1038.
Okay.
But a Cybersecurity Act 2020.
Act 1028.
38. Yes,
sorry.
please.
So it means that if I have my own baby, now there's this whole, I don't know if it's a trend or what, where people are having their babies and they live stream. And the baby, of course, when you're giving birth, the baby come out naked.
Yeah.
You're live streaming.
Yes.
Is it indecent as well for the child? Because the baby is naked.
Yes, it's naked. The act is looking at sexual offenses. And for birth, I didn't actually know that people were now going through the birth process and publishing it.
Yeah.
That's news to me. Whether it is of sexual nature, and let me just maybe read the publication. Whether it's of sexual nature is a matter that the courts would have to decide. But clearly, when what we read, 62(1)D, clearly forbids possession of an indecent. So what is an indecent image is what I would want us to look at now. So 62(4) says, for the purpose of this section, indecent image or photograph includes a material image, visual recording, video, drawing, even drawing, or text that depicts a child engaged in sexually explicit or suggestive conduct, that is A. B, a person who appears to be a child engaged in a sexually explicit or suggestive conduct. C, images representing a child engaged in a sexually explicit or suggestive conduct. D, sexually explicit images of children. E, any written material, visual representation or audio recording that advocates or counsels sexual activity with children. F, any written material that has a dominant characteristic, the description for sexual purpose, or any audio recording that has the dominant characteristic, presentation or representation for sexual purpose. So as I said,
so it's all
criminalizing on the sexual nature of the image or video. So if giving birth doesn't have that sexual connotation, that might not be an issue. But if it's trying to suggest, because, you know, most of these child pornographic sites, once a child is naked, for some strange reason,
they can pick it and use it.
They use it. And for some strange reason, it's what some people like. Once they see the nakedness of a little girl, and we hear it all the time on the media, 3-year-olds being raped, being defiled. And that's where the protection of the law is coming in.
Right. So I can still take pictures of my child.
Yes.
Again, I'll base it on that because I know that a lot of parents are falling culprit to that. Not even just parents, you know, siblings. You might have a younger sibling or a cousin or something, and you know, you take a picture of that child without harm. If anybody gets a possession of that picture and uses it in a sexual form, it means that the law will come after you too.
Exactly, because you aided and abetted, you facilitated that process.
But probably you didn't take the picture with any bad intention.
Yes, and that's why we are being warned not to even possess them. Because sometimes it's not us who would cause the problem. You know, there was a recent case, it was even covered by Joy News, where a woman, it's not even a child, a woman sent her phone to a repairer, and I think she had some nude pictures on it, and the repairer took the pictures and blackmailed the woman. She is an adult, so she doesn't fall under what we are discussing.
Right.
But we are saying that it can easily fall into the wrong hands. And once it falls into the wrong hands, you don't even know how far it can go, because the internet doesn't have boundaries. And that's why we have to be careful what we do. You know, in the past, children naked was not an issue. You know, we would see children walking up and down naked. But sadly, they have been subject to rape and defilement cases.
Hence, this law was passed.
Yes, it has to protect the children. So this law doesn't only deal with children, it also deals with adults, because 67 and 68 also talks about non-consensual sharing.
Right.
And that's the case I just mentioned. It wasn't, the lady didn't consent to the repairer having that information. Sextortion is also one, using sexual images that the person gets information of or gets possession of to blackmail the person. So it's a law that protects all of us, children and adults.
So you can't also post on even your status a naked picture of your baby?
What the law criminalizes is the sexual nature of it. And that's why I say that the courts would have to decide.
Prevent it from happening.
Yes.
If you post it and somebody picks it and uses it for other things or sexual
so
things,
that means we would go after the person,
not you.
But there's also an aiding and abetting part, which means where there's a provision where the law says that you facilitated it. If you facilitated it, that means you created a conducive environment for the streaming or for the publishing to be done. And that's why we are saying that it's better not to post it out. Because frankly, why are you posting a baby's or a child's
So what consequence do you face if you are the one who aided it?
The criminal.
Yeah, so no, I mean, are you going to jail for how long?
Yes, I'm going to read them all to you now.
Please go ahead.
So for the possession and streaming and all that of the indecent image of a child for sexual purposes, And please, let's be mindful of the sexual purposes.
Yes, very important.
Yes. So the offense is a fine, if found guilty. It's a fine of not less than 2,500 penalty units to 5,000. So one penalty unit is 12 cedis.
Okay.
So 2,500, I think, is 3,000.
All right, let's do a quick calculation. I always have my phone with me. So whenever I have to do a calculation, I just pick it up. Okay, so we are looking at 12.
Six. Okay, so do the calculation. 2,500 times 12.
Okay. We are looking at 30,000.
Yes.
Okay.
So 30,000 is the minimum, and the maximum is 60,000.
And if you can't pay, you have to go.
And that is not the only one.
Okay.
Or a term of imprisonment of not less than 5 years. And not more than 10 years, 5 to 10 years, maximum 10 years. Or both.
Or both. So you end up paying the penalty and a jail term of minimum of 5 years.
5 years, maximum of 10 years.
Now, we are reading from this book because we want everybody to know this is not coming from our own heads. We are not creating the thing ourselves. This is a law, and we are actually reading from the book. So this is Cybersecurity Act 2020 Act 1038. So we are not creating our own stories here. We are not making something up. We want you to know that this is what the law says. So if you're doing this, you need to be careful out there, especially with the aiding aspects, because we all aid without even realizing.
You know, the worst bit is when you are just sitting, you're somewhere, as we often say in Ghana, and somebody just sends you a WhatsApp with a child in a very sexually explicit state. The fact that you are even carrying that thing is also an offense.
Oh, wow.
Yes. The person posting and you possessing.
But how do you prevent the person from sending it to you?
So you have to delete it immediately as soon as you get it.
Okay.
Because the thing about victimization of these children is that once you are holding on or once you are sending, you are re-victimizing the child.
Especially when you see it and you quickly send it out.
Exactly. And most people are very quick to do that. Sometimes they will pretend as if they are concerned about the situation, and they will put some prayer, oh God, help us, look at what the children are, then they are sending. The effects of your consent should rather to protect the image of the child, not to share.
Right.
Because even in our criminal law, a child's image should always be protected in matters of criminal situations. So even in courts, a child's image, a child is not even, when there's a prosecution issue or any case concerning a child, it's not done in open courts. Because the courts would always, or the law would always try to protect the image of the child. But what we do sometimes is we aggravate the problem instead of protecting the child. And you know that according to our Children's Acts, anybody below the age of 18 is a child.
Yes.
So the fact that the person is 16 or 17. Very voluptuous and behaving like she's the madam of the whole world, doesn't change the fact that she's a child.
Especially if you go on Snapchat, you see most of these young girls, you know, exploiting themselves for money. And if you should download it because you like what you see, and that child, that person is 16 or 17 years, you are in trouble.
You are in trouble. You are in serious trouble. For the children, we are educating them to understand that sharing these nudes have dire consequences, because now for everything people will go online and do a check on you.
What happens to these children who put their own nudes online?
We often see them as victims because somebody has convinced them to do that, you know. So in most of the time we see them as victims, and that's why we try to protect them. And when we see that because, you know, generally the law would say that a child below the age of 16 cannot even consent to sexual activity.
Not today children. Okay,
Don't
try to their children. 30 self, they are consenting.
So let me just do a little education here.
Right.
So according to our law, we have two major offenses, sexual offenses, rape and defilement.
Right.
So rape is where someone has sex with an adult without the consent. But for defilement, once the child is below 16, whether she begged
for it or not,
or not, she doesn't have the capacity to consent. So that is why we call it defilement. That means you forced her, even though she forced you.
Should we reduce the age limits? Because the kind of things these young are seeing lately.
Yes, but you see, it also
does it apply to only girls, or it's for both
For
genders?
both.
Okay.
For both, although our law is more explicit on the female sexual issue, it actually cuts across, because I've seen cases in court where they didn't discriminate. So the same way the law, and that's why it says a child, and a child is below 18. So it shows that once the images are sent, the child is the one we are protecting. Okay. Not the person who is showing it and saying that, oh, it's the child who posted it.
Why did you download it?
Exactly.
Right, we want people at home to join the conversation. So if you have any suggestion, contribution, question, do call us. The number is on the screen. Just call us and you can ask any question. Of course, we have Ifwa here with us who is helping us with this particular issue. I mean, going on social media, we see a lot of young people. Even when you go on TikTok, the young ones have taken over. Yeah, they've taken over. What has changed? 9 years old, 10 years old, they've taken over. They develop so fast. So when you see, you think they are adults. R. Kelly is facing a jail term because of this, and you shouldn't be the next person. We are all hearing of his because he probably is a celebrity and people know of him, but it could be you. Possession.
I think that is the most severe aspect that most people don't know, because some people might be like, oh, okay, I wasn't, and even I've had people post it on group platforms. And I just advise them, look, take it off. It's an offense. Because 2 years ago, it wasn't an offense.
Right.
But people don't know about the law and the provisions in the law. So it's important we all advise ourselves.
Let me ask you, I know this has nothing to do with nudity, but I think about 3 weeks ago, okay, I have a caller. Then we come back to it. Hello, good morning, Eric.
Hello, good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you.
Fantastic.
I hope you guys are also doing well.
We are doing very well. What do you have for us?
Oh, okay. I would like to share an experience. I would like to get your take on it.
Please go
I was living in a compound house in Accra, and then there was a couple that had children. These children were bathing in the bathhouse, but then they decided to bathe them in front of my porch. I didn't like the scene because of the nakedness and everything. Besides, they could have done this at their own front. So I tried to stop them, but they decided to fight with me. And you know what I did? I wanted to report them to the police, but I needed evidence. So I put my phone in my windows and I started recording the scene. But unfortunately, the nakedness of children being bathed was also in the picture. And I don't know, I reported the matter to the police, but later on they wanted me to drop the case. So I wanted to find out what are the law says about such situations. Okay. Especially when they are deliberately doing that to disturb you. Parents.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Ima. Efwa.
Yeah, so the law is being developed, and we would have to find ways on getting good evidence on these issues. But the Cybersecurity Act is dealing with images on electronic devices.
Okay. So with him that he took a
might
video,
not be to enhance a criminal offense, but to prohibit an offense. Maybe as soon as you show it to the police, you have to delete it, but I'm not sure whether it's acceptable to actually film it, because now
you need evidence.
You need evidence, so let the police come. Call the police to come and take their own evidence. Right. It's better than you, the person, taking. I know that sometimes time constraints might want you to do that, but I think we can let the police do their work.
Okay.
It's better that way. Because in some strange twist of events, you can easily find yourself at the other end of the law.
Right. Hi, Sadak. Good morning. You're calling me Kita.
Yes, please, madam. Good day.
Good day. How are you?
Oh, it's good. Good.
Fantastic.
How are you doing too?
We're fine, thank you. Let's hear from you, Sadak.
Yes, please. You know, if you look at this problem is a very, it's a very prominent one which we have to pay much attention to. When you look at it today, all the problem is because maybe you yourself, the policy that we have in this country, governing children is not good for us. Because you can't discipline children in the house. Indeed, they will report you to the police, they come arrest you because you have disciplined your child. So when we come out to say that protection whatsoever, let's cut it from the onset.
Okay.
In those days, you cannot misbehave. A child cannot stay and appear in the compound house. No. You can't do that. But they look at the laws. When you discipline the child, then they will tell you that the child will go and you come arrest you. Today, no discipline in the school. Come and see. I'm a teacher. The way the children have been misbehaving on campus, they bring phones to school. You can't say anything. You can't clean them. Try it. You miss your job. So if you want to do away with this problem, then we must bring back the punishment.
All right, thank you so much, Sadak.
Yes, on the social media. If we were to cane them, lash them, make them know what is wrong. Today, because of their child protection policies, we can't do that.
Sadak, thank you so much. We are very grateful. Sadak wants to lash the children. We are not talking about, the children. We're talking about you having possession of their nudes on your phone. That is it. So if they are doing it, don't take the nudes and put it on your phone. Finished. Yeah. Please, don't.
But he brought an angle that is worth pursuing, the parental angle. Most parents would give their children phones or devices without even knowing how to even use these phones and devices. And once you give a phone or a device to a child with data, you are potentially giving them access to pornographic sites, to terrorist sites, to all kinds of sites that the children shouldn't be on. So it's important that it's the parents who should introduce the children on the right sites.
Right.
Put parental guidance apps on the phone so that the children can be managed. We are now doing damage control because parents gave phones to their children without putting these controls in place. And the children have been now exposed to all these sites you are talking about. And these sites, you see, there's something about peer pressure. And that's why we say that we protect the children. You might think it's the children themselves doing it, but they've been pressured to do it because of what somebody said, what some celebrities said, or did. Oh, exactly.
I have a question on social media, which should be our final question. It says, I have a daughter with a birthmark, and I've taken a pic of her showing that mark, and it's on my phone. I did this with no bad intention. Does it constitute a violation, please? This is coming from Francis De Francis.
Where is the picture? Where is the birthmark? Because you can take, we are not saying you can't take pictures of children. We take pictures of ourselves, we take pictures of children. But when we talk about indecent picture, and let me just go through the indecent one. Is there anything where it shows the intimate parts of a child? I want to see.
Have you found it? Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But
do you have any pictures?
But before.
On your phone.
No, I don't.
So when we say indecent, like things that are sexually explicit, as I earlier mentioned. So not if you take a picture of a child, I don't know where the mark was, whether it was on their face or on their
Yeah, I also
breast.
thought the same when I saw the comments. I was asking that where exactly is
Where
the
exactly?
mark? So at
Yes.
least.
So if the mark is on a place where people will consider indecent,
then
you should remove it. Because it's not about you, it's about protecting your child.
Protecting your child. Thank you so much for joining us, Efua. Your final words before you go. Let's sound a word of caution to every adult out there.
Okay. So what we have also realized is that a lot of students are sharing their nudes, pictures on social media, especially with people they think are their intimate partners, their boyfriends, their lesbian partners and things like that. And the trend we are getting is that a lot of perpetrators are now posing as lesbian partners because they think it's easier for girls to expose themselves to girls than to boys. So they come with promises to have a lesbian relationship with a girl, and shortly afterwards they are blackmailed.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Sometimes for money, sometimes for sex. And the stories are harrowing.
Wow.
So we are pleading with parents, and I know that now children are in school, so parents are now watching. They have to take a critical look at the way children use their phones. If your child is spending too long or so many hours on their phone, it's a problem. Because the thing is, these social media things can be so addictive. And for children, you don't need addictions at this time. One should be studying and, you know, pursuing their school or education or whatever. So the word of caution is, let's all be careful in dealing with our children. But for the girls, please, there's no need showing your naked pictures to somebody who claims they love you. Love is not that complicated.
So true. Efua, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are super grateful. We'll be speaking to Efua Brown Eisen. I hope I got it right. She's the head of Child Online Protection at CSA. Thank you so much for being here. And I've been doing this with
KMG. Happy birthday to you, Frank Addo. You're celebrating your birthday today.
I don't know how true this is, but we heard Boris Johnson has stepped down as Prime Minister. I don't know. We'll find out and we'll give you more details in the course of the
Tomorrow we're wrapping up. Koku Darlington will be in the studio.
Yes,
We've got a conversation coming up.
And we are trying to get Reggie also in, so hopefully Reggie will join us. Hopefully Reggie Rockstone will join us. Fingers crossed. Thank you for watching the show. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.